So then what was the resolution of the fire truck? That they are
The,
operation budget or not?
I think we voted, you asked me.
Yeah, you guys voted to move them into the operation.
Operating
But
budget.
that doesn't mean they're gonna do that.
Yeah, no, but we said that they should be separate in an operating budget.
Right.
So we'll see what happens when it comes to you.
Yeah. Actually, we can object to the budget, which I will.
Yeah.
Whether my comrades will vote with me or not. We'll
Yeah.
see, they did 2 years ago. But it doesn't
Looking at
really.
minutes,
Yes.
Rich.
I'm sorry?
You're looking at minutes?
Yeah.
Which is that?
9/18,
The
probably.
18th?
Yeah, I see what you did, yeah.
All right, so I just stuck at the mic, so have to wait for him or Jane. I can. What did Jane say?
He'll do what he did last year.
Yeah, we'll see.
Which is what sadly makes me feel like this is his own.
Well, there's actually, if you look at the fire, there's a DPW, I think, where there's a group where there was lease ones and purchase ones all commingled in the budget. And we're just like, you gotta separate those out. You gotta have, like, the lease ones shall go to operating budget. Just keep the ones that you're saving for.
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our 9/11/23 and 9/18/23 meetings. I will accept a motion on either of those.
Well, I can make a motion on the one I was at, which would have been the 11th, but not the 18th.
Okay.
I wasn't here on the 18th.
So there's a motion on the floor to approve the minutes of September 11/23. Is there a second? Thank you, Jane. Any discussion?
No.
Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. I will accept a motion to approve the minutes of 9/18/23. You want to make that motion, Jane? You were there?
I don't think
She was there. It was Jane, me, and Sunka.
Yeah.
so. Okay.
I'll second it. Discussion?
So I abstain.
Yeah, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Right.
Motion passes 2-0 to 1. All right, the main event for tonight. Review and vote on the 2024 capital improvement requests or capital improvement plan for the school district. Superintendent Allen, Dave Riley are here. Who's coming up to have this?
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
If you want to come on and join me up here. Thank you for having us. As Phil said, I'm Todd Allen, the superintendent of the school district. I also have Dave Riley, who is the facilities director for the school district, who is in many ways the brains behind a lot of this capital improvement work. I wanted to start actually just by saying that I really appreciate the input we got here last year from this group. It was clear to us when we walked out of here last fall that we needed to do some work around mapping out our long-range capital improvement plan. And so since that meeting, we have done an awful lot of work on that. And the document that you have in front of you, am I supposed to be advancing this or?
Probably Bart, is it? Bart,
Are you at it? Okay. So the document you have in front of you is a product of many months of work since the last time we were here. I just wanted to kind of give you an overview of the work that's been done. During the last school year, the 22-23 school year, we engaged on-site inside a capital needs assessment firm that assisted us in doing some very detailed studies of all three of our facilities. So they have produced comprehensive reports for us on the elementary school facility, the junior senior high facility, as well as the annex facility. Out of all of that work that they did, they took a look at all the site systems, they looked at the mechanical and electrical systems, they looked at architectural systems and all the interior areas, and they provided us an enormous amount of information that once we had that, the School District Capital Improvement Committee was able to take a deep dive into and begin to take a look at it. And basically what we were able to do is we took that information and we have broken it into a short-term plan, which is items that we will be factoring into our annual operating budget, a longer-term plan, which is going to tap capital reserve funds over the next many years to fund these projects. And then really the third piece, which we have not fully addressed yet, is what we are calling strategic investments. Because last year, you may recall, there were a couple of projects that we put on the table of things that the one in particular that comes to mind is the athletic fields project we talked with you about. Definitely something that this community would benefit a great deal from. But it's one of those things that, as actually this group noted, coordination with the rec department and others really needed to happen before that kind of a project could go forward. So one of the things that this plan that we have developed has done is it's given us the information we need to be able to say, what do we need to do every year to kind of keep up with the maintenance of our facilities? And then more importantly, over the next 20 years, how much money do we need to make sure we have available to us in capital reserve funds to be able to fund these projects as they come up? So the chart that Bart is showing right now kind of gives you an idea of sort of the math behind this, because once we collected all this information, it very quickly became a math problem. So basically what we did was we looked at 20 years, and if you look at all of the capital projects that we know we're going to need to take on between now and 2043, the total cost of that is about $6 million. Okay, and this chart, if you look at the, actually you could scroll down, Bart, to the previous slide. Yeah, that. So if you look at this chart, you can see in 2043, if nothing is addressed, we have $6 million in unmet needs. The bottom bar, which is the black, is what we're calling short-term needs. What we're basically trying to do is to say every year we're going to put $100,000 into our operating budget so that Dave and his team can tackle projects that, number one, are things that his team has the skill to do internally, and are some of the lower ticket items that can allow us to stay on top of things. And obviously, if you invest $100,000 every year for 20 years, that's $2 million of the $6 million that I just referenced. If you wouldn't mind, Bart, going to the next slide. And that's where I'm going to ask Dave to talk a little about this. This Appendix A in the report gives you an idea of, for the 24-25 year, kind of what we will tackle with that operating budget fund. Do you want to talk about that,
Sure.
Dave?
So, things, annex parking, the annex owns about a dozen parking spots out there, so that's relatively cheap. Luckily, the town does the crack ceiling for us, so thank you very much, town. These items are all things that are either within my guy's skill set, replacing restroom fixtures, exterior walls, or, generally fall just under or around $20,000. Things that just make sense to come out of our annual operating budget. Gym equipment is an example that's sort of obscure. We're really talking the curtain in the high school gym. The cables are starting to fray, right? These are things that should be done as part of maintenance. Not big ticket items like replacing rooftop units or roofs or that sort of thing. One of the things, exterior walls, we're doing the annex. We'll do lentils at the elementary school. The high school, you're gonna have to build scaffolding to do that, and it's just not within my guy's range of ability, so, we won't be attacking that sort of project. So really, the capital projects that we're looking for are the biggies, and everything else we should be able to do out of our annual budget.
So really what the intent is every year, Dave will produce a list of the most needed projects that fit under this $100,000, and we will attack those year over year, and over the course of 20 years, an awful lot can be done. And one of the things I do want to commend Dave on is he does an awful lot of training with his facilities techs to bring them up to speed, so there's an awful lot that they can do internally. So to the extent that we can do as many of these maintenance type projects internally, we're going to try to do that. So that's what we're calling the short-term part of our capital plan, okay? So that then brings us to the long-term part of our plan. And you can see in Appendix B that we've presented to you, it really is mapping out really 20 years worth of expenditures. I'm not going to go through the whole thing with you, but I will have Dave go through the projects we're talking about for the upcoming year. But just to kind of give you a sense of how this is laid out. The blue in that chart, that is the junior senior high. Okay, so any item that is in blue, those are things that the junior senior high will need to have done, and based on the engineering study that was done, mapping out based on life expectancies and all that kind of stuff, we've mapped it out as to when those things need to happen. The beige color is the elementary school, and fortunately, there really aren't too many items in the annex that need to be tackled, and to be very honest, the annex is a fairly old building, and I don't see us investing significant amounts of money in it anytime in the near future. So clearly, we would maintain it to keep its use because it's Dave's office space, so Dave has a vested interest in keeping it going, but there really are no major capital projects that will be tied to that. So as you look at this spreadsheet that we're giving you in Appendix B, you can see, for For example, in 2024, which is this year, you can see a total of $506,828 worth of projects. The one thing which Dave did just mention is that parking, the 30 that's in there, that's $33,495. Thank you, Town of Newmarket. Actually, the Town of Newmarket handles our parking lots. So that actually comes out of that number. So what Dave's going to do right now is share with you the 4 capital projects that we intend to take on this upcoming year and utilize capital reserve funds for. So Dave, you want to kind of go through those 4 projects?
Let me start with the biggie, the one I think people will like the most, is replacing the windows at NES. The project this previous summer, I'm sorry. We did the project this past summer, replacing the windows along the front of the school. It's fantastic, the teachers love it. We still have along the back of the school those tilt-out windows. They are starting to fail. They have pins that hold the hinges in that are starting to drop out, so you can't open the windows without them going cattywampus and falling out of the frame. So the window project is something I really think we need, and I really think it would benefit our learners. I have a roofing project, what's called Section 14 at the high school.
I'm sorry, this is Jane.
Yes.
I apologize to interrupt. Is there, besides the wear and tear of the window, by replacing the window, that also helps with the heating costs, correct?
Yes, they would be more efficient. They also, I hesitate to say this, could be used in emergencies as an exit out of the building.
Yeah, understood. Okay.
That's
I
great.
just,
Pray we never need
as we
that.
present this,
Yes.
is there any way we can accentuate that? It's not just, the wear and tear of the windows, but by replacing the windows, we'll also have savings regarding the heating of the building.
Certainly.
Yeah, that's
I'm
absolutely.
sorry.
No, that is absolutely true. The next one is roof, what's called roof section 14. If you're facing the high school, it's the left front, it's the original building. That roof was installed in 1995, I believe, so we are well past the life expectancy of that roof. We have a number of roofs of that vintage. This one has the most patches, so we're attacking this one first, simply because it seems to be having the biggest issues. So that is the roofing project. There is the exterior wall repairs at the high school. If you see the picture, we have a number of cracks, things failing, windowsills cracking. It's just something, if we don't attack it every year, it's just going to cost more and more to repair. We'd really like to keep that building in beautiful shape that it is. And then the last one is the train packaged rooftop unit at NES. It's another one where we have a number of rooftop units, but this is the one that seems to be, causing issues, so we figured we'd attack this one first. So those are my 4 big capital asks.
So if you take the total cost of all 4 of those projects, it basically is, if you look at 2024 on the spreadsheet that we provided you, that you see the total cost of $506,828. If you subtract from it the parking, which is covered by the town, the total cost of those 4 projects that Dave just outlined is about $473,000. Okay, and we would be taking that money out of capital reserve funds. Now, if you jump ahead to, and Bart, if you wouldn't mind jumping ahead to the page that shows the trust fund balances.
Appendix C.
Appendix D, actually, but it's on the same page as Appendix. Thank you. So you can see that there are 2 trust funds that the school district currently operates that are specifically for school maintenance and improvements. You'll see we have School Repair and Maintenance Trust Fund, which this is the June 30 balance in the document you have. I did have Jana run for me what the balances were most recently. A second, while I find it, and you can imagine we've made a few dollars in interest, but that's about it. My hand on the page. So anyway, so that's the June 30 amount. So So that school repair and maintenance trust fund, our intention is to focus on drawing that down until it's zero, and wipe that out. And if you go to the long-term part of this plan, so if you wouldn't mind backing up no, go up to the top of that page. Thank you, right there. Stop at Appendix C. Thank you, Bart. So what we're proposing doing is over the next 20 years, having a schedule of contributions to the School Improvement Capital Reserve Fund. So starting in years 1 through 4, we are going to be proposing a warrant to put $200,000 from the unexpended fund balance at the end of the year into that fund. Okay, that's the first 4 years, but as time goes on, we need to ramp up the amount to make sure we can fully cover all of the costs of the plan. So for years 5 through 10, we would be proposing doing it at $240,000, and then in years 11 through 20, we'd be increasing it to $270,000. By doing that, the balances in our trust funds are always where they need to be in order to fund the projects that we're identifying year over year. So basically, moving forward, what we're asking tonight is for, we're recommending and asking to do $200,000 in the trust funds, and then all the projects that Dave just outlined for you would be projects that we would be planning to draw the trust funds down for to get those done in this first year. And now I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
Questions?
I have a few. So, first of all, I think this is an enormous step forward from where you guys were. So,
Appreciate that, thank you.
you should be.
And that's thanks to you guys.
No, this is great work, and it's really what was needed. And so now this becomes really kind of easy in a sense, right? Because we've kind of laid it all out, figured it all out. So you did hire an outside firm, as I understood.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
who was? Can I ask who that was? Or?
Yeah, it was,
On-site, Insight.
On-site Insight, and they did this study essentially of the buildings and all the life expectancy of all the assets,
Correct,
right?
Yes, we provided them with some information we had already gathered. I had our roofing contractor come in, and a service they provided was to look at all the roofs and
Sure.
just install dates. And then I had our HVAC contractor provide me with the make, model, and serial number
Yeah.
of every unit we have in all the buildings.
Yeah.
And I did some research on that too. So we provided them some information, but they really came in and did the nuts and bolts.
and I do want to, Dave really did an awful lot of legwork on this. I mean, he really did. I think it actually ended up, the cost of the consultant was much less because much
Yeah.
of the legwork had already been done by Dave.
That's great. Not to be a trick question, but I'm sure this was important in sort of looking out as far as you did. There must be an inflation rate that they projected for what things were an increase in cost over time. Do you have any knowledge of what that is?
Do you, off the top of your
Off my
head?
head, I do not.
They did account, I can get that for you, though. They did take
Yeah.
that into account.
Okay, because sometimes that's, ultra conservative, almost like overstating, and then sometimes it's
Mhm.
inadequate,
Right.
Okay. So what you're showing is considerably less money over the next 2 years. And I would assume, since you have all this information now, that there's likely not going to be some dramatic surprise when we're here a year from now, right?
That's certainly what we're hoping for. In fact, one of the things that I immediately was able to do in looking at the spreadsheet that you have there in front of you, is you look at it, mapping out, that certainly in the first really 4 years of the plan, you can see that there are some investments we need to make. But then in the year 28, 29, 30, 31, you see there is a
Yeah,
lesser
right.
need. And so that would be an opportunity for us as a district or as a community to have some conversation about other things that might be of high value to the community, such as athletic fields, if that's something that people wanted to.
Right, that was when you took my last question. 'Cause
Oh, okay.
if we ultimately, let's say, were successful in avoiding some of this, let's just say, because we overestimated, then if we maintain these capital reserves, I mean, we could direct those funds in another direction.
Absolutely.
In theory, right?
Yeah.
So if the town can plan for this 200 and then the Excel, like that gives you
Right.
what you need.
Now, every year, we're going to reevaluate this, right?
Okay.
Some things will become higher needs, some things will become lower. This is something, nothing's carved in stone. And then I also want to say, am I guaranteeing there won't be a catastrophic failure of
Right.
something somewhere? I'm
Yeah.
certainly not. This is our best chance to foresee
Yeah.
those, but some just can't be foreseen.
And I think one of the things we really are are probably happiest about is that we're trying to take a look at the long-term future of the district and not have spikes, not have big costs suddenly pop up. And so by doing this, it allows us to set aside money a little at a time so that when those larger expenses pop up, we're able to handle it. But I think by setting a target of 200,000 going into the fund every year and then gradually ramping it up over the course of 20 years, you're not going to see spikes in the local cost based upon needs that we haven't projected.
Rather than going to the taxpayer and say $90 million to save this roof, I can go to the taxpayer and say, we've saved $1 million because we knew this roof was coming of age. And that's really the hope.
And I probably should know the answer to this, but so the 100,000 in sort of prior years, budget-wise, is that typical of what that's been in there, or this is a totally new number that we haven't seen before?
Well, I can only speak to the probably 2 or 3 years that I've really had the opportunity to really thoroughly go. And Dave, you've been here, you were here about a year longer than me.
Yeah.
There certainly has not been a significant capital maintenance budgeted year over year.
Yeah.
And I think, one of the things that I think happened was when the community voted for the bond, I think the assumption was that was going to do the lion's share of it and that there wouldn't be ongoing issues. But as Dave points out, we have roofs that are original roofs, or not original, but are very old that need to be done. And so what we have said is let's try to be as proactive as possible. And I think you had in this year's budget, you probably have 25,000 for capital maintenance, approximately. So to go to 100 is quadrupling the budget that he has to work with for
So
capital maintenance.
that's a budget issue.
Right, it's a budget issue, not a capital reserve issue.
Yeah. Good, Richard. Jane, any questions? Was that a no? Sorry.
No.
Okay. I just want to say that having had the opportunity to work with on the school board and on the committee, with the school committee around this, the amount of work that both Dave and Jana, who's not here, put into like what I think is an incredibly detailed, thoughtful plan. I love and what's not here is the stacks of paper from the actual consultants that behind all of this. So the rigor that went into this has been exceptional. Bart, it's something that, as I consider when we look at the town capital improvement plan, how we might have it's a model, right? Especially the cash flow funding level, the green column on the long term that shows, we're only putting 200 in every year for the first 4 years, but we're drawing more than that, recognizing that we can never let it go to zero because later on there's gonna be more. So despite the ebbs and flows of capital needs, consistent impact on the tax rate is exactly what this funding is designed for. So this has been under Todd's leadership and the work of Dave and Jana. I could not be prouder of the work of the school district.
Thank you.
Makes our job easy.
No. All right, bud.
Go ahead, Bart.
So I was gonna say it's a wonderful model, great analysis, and on that conversation on it's gonna change in the future, but at least we have an idea of what's coming, and obviously there's gonna be room for variability, based on unforeseen circumstances. So I think having this picture right now is great for for planning and, for the taxpayers as well, to see what's coming in for, the school district. So I think I just want to commend Superintendent Allen and his colleague Dave for a great job, and everyone else who put work into this. Fantastic job. Thank you.
Thank you, Dave, I appreciate that. Thank you, Bart, I appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you, Dave, too. Dave, too.
There is one thing that I do want noted, is that the future expansion strategic investment paragraph that Amy on the school board would want us to say, as much as this is a capital improvement plan by letter of the law, this is really a capital maintenance plan, as Davis calls it, for how to just maintain the investment that this community has made in the school buildings. Given that we're finalized the vision of a graduate, there's the master plan going on that the school district is going to have a voice in, as well as the capital improvement committee, that, knock on wood, right, Bart, that there could become things where this is an investment we want to make in the community via school capital improvements, and that recognizing that that will be separate than this, but that the school didn't come in and say, oh, also, there's these dreams that we have as well. It's like, until that gets finalized, like having the requests be specific to the known quantities and allow like the community's voice to drive what those strategic investments are gonna be is, again, I think another fantastic like show of leadership by the district.
I appreciate it, and I thank you for noting that, Phil, because definitely, for those of you who have been following the school district over the last year, we've done an awful lot of work around defining our vision of a graduate, which is basically developing a clear sense of what we want our end product for our students to be. And now that we are about to have the board officially adopt that and approve it, it does lead to an awful lot of conversations about future thinking about what we want for our schools. And obviously there are facilities aspects that may come up in the course of that. It's not just about the educational side of the equation. So thank you for bringing that up, Phil. And I do want to acknowledge too that I've had lots of conversations with various other community leadership people. You know, Amy from the rec and Steve Fournier, and so clearly there is a lot of conversation around some things that the school district and the town of Newmarket could do collaboratively that could potentially benefit all of us. And certainly, as I mentioned earlier, the athletic field concept is certainly one that I've heard from many corners of the community that it's something that we need to do. The question is, how do you do it and do it in a responsible way that doesn't have a dramatic impact on taxes? And this kind of a document gives us sort of the map moving forward as to how that kind of stuff could happen.
With that, I will accept a motion for the school's 2020 fiscal year 25 funding for 24-25 funding at $200,000 level for the school improvement capital reserve fund.
Yeah, I'm happy to make that motion consistent with their presentation and the plan that they put together. So it's $200,000 for this coming year.
Is there a second?
We need a rank.
With the rank of,
N.
I mean, I would say necessary.
Necessary,
It's to maintain the building.
Yeah.
Jane, you want to second that one?
Yeah, I got it second.
Nice. Any
You did
further?
it as an N, correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I second that.
Would you like me to read? You know what the N means?
Yep.
Yes.
Necessary.
Well,
As opposed to
Yeah.
compulsory or.
as opposed to compulsory or urgent, necessary to the project is needed to maintain existing standards or levels of service.
That's why I like to refer to it as a capital maintenance plan.
That's true.
Just checking.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the motion? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Superintendent Allen.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank you.
Any more comments to this?
I mean, we got it emailed. We could get a few while you want to bring some to
Well,
the,
I'd like to do it for the budget committee. I can print if I have.
or could we get copies for the budget
You
committee?
make as many as you want. You tell me how many you want, now.
Maybe
Yeah.
like,
There you go, Bart's got it.
maybe like 10 or 12 copies just to be sure.
In color.
Yeah, of the school district's proposal.
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about this at the meeting Monday.
Next Monday. So I would need to
Yeah,
get
so I
them.
can print it off tomorrow and just stop on by anytime.
Yeah, if you just, okay,
well, I'll just come by with you
tomorrow. the
tomorrow.
next day.
Okay,
Does that work?
That work?
that works. Yep,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
welcome.
Awesome. Is there anything else in front of this committee? Bart, we don't have another meeting scheduled. I think that.
Yeah. Right, we don't. So that, kind of concludes this year's, but, we're still gonna have that conversation, moving forward. And there's gonna be a lot of community events, along the master plan. And I think this committee should be involved in that, since, there's gonna be a big drive to kind of reshape, this committee and, how it, evaluates future planning efforts, so I'll be in touch with that, but I think regardless,
Thank you.
I'm not sure what the
Good
holiday
job.
season is gonna look like coming up, but I would like to get one meeting a month if that's possible, just to keeping momentum going. I'm not sure, maybe we reconvene in January after the holidays, and start there. Just my initial thoughts, how does the community feel about that?
I mean, I would love, like, again, like, and I don't mean to like keep pounding the horn of the school district, but like, this is a model. I would love to think, how can we get the whole community in a model that sort of mirrors this?
You know, I mean,
Or something like
I'd be
this.
fascinated to see, you know, what the third party gave them, what the study was. But, you know, when it starts with this independent, you know, unbiased third party with their data, you know, with their analysis, I mean, then you build off of that. So it's exactly what, you know, they needed to do. It's great. I mean, because if it's just, you know, your maintenance guy trying to figure it out,
Yeah.
it's just not as powerful, you know.
I mean, I know this has been the facilities review on the town side.
Yeah.
That should help, like, could potentially inform a similar look, right? Like, I know that there's been some strategic investments suggested by that, but I'm not sure how much that look also is at maintenance of what we have.
Right, and then if you don't do this, then you find yourself, you know, waking up one morning and needing $1 million for
Right.
this building, right? Which is probably about where
Probably
we're at.
where we're at with
Yeah,
the sounds,
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, I'm happy, like, I would think we should work on what the agenda would look like, Bart, but I'm happy to say, like, January, so we can get our mind around what do we want this to look like
Yeah.
through the spring.
I mean, I'm in my last term and I'm not planning to run again, so I would like maybe ask at our meeting if there's somebody that wants to do this next year, that they get involved in
Yeah.
January, so that I'm not here and then I'll just disappear, right?
No, you don't have to, you could become citizen CIP.
Yeah, no, I actually could, I'll tell you what, I'd be willing to do that,
I
because
think
we're
you
missing that
should.
on the committee.
We are absolutely missing just
We're
a,
missing-
like,
Yeah.
the citizen on the street.
Yeah, if that's still an open slot.
That'll be our first effort to get a full committee, and then.
Yeah, I'll tell you
I think
right now,
that
I'd
could be priority
volunteer
number
to do that.
Whoa,
Rich
volunteers,
All right,
hear that?
let's get that in the minutes.
Yeah.
Also, I want the term
I'm never there.
cattywampus that
It
Dave
would be
used.
better, it
Ah,
would be
kitty
better if our
wampus.
decisions.
And I will
waited.
put the kitty wampus in.
All right, everyone, thank you so much. Jane, thank you so much. Like, everyone who's been on the committee, Sanka, like, I think this has been a really, like, productive year.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
we
great.
definitely have moved the ball forward. I feel like this, Bart, thank you for your, like, tirelessness work on this too, helping guide us where we are today.
It doesn't work unless we have an effective chair, so, you know, that's a
Yeah.
big reason why, so.
It's a team effort. Susan, thank you too for taking such great
Great
minutes.
job.
All right, everyone, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Oh, so moved.
Is there a second?
Motion.
All right, all those in favor? Aye.
Thanks
We
for
are
logging on,
adjourned.
Jane.
Thank you, Jane, so much for logging on.
Bye.
Y'all have a great night.
Bye now.
Have a good night, Newmarket.